Welcome to the Urban Edges edition of the Ladies Corner. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about what it looks like and feels like to date, to marry, to work and play in urban settings. I am your host, your life coach, Maisha Harris, and I'm going to introduce to you today some of our ladies. We have Saraya, Nichelle, Toya, Ebony, and Keisha. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it with the ladies. So what does dating, marriage, single life, what does it look like in urban settings, and what have some of your experiences been?
To me, there's a lot of men and women, blacks in particular, up here as compared to home. So it's a little different in dating. Down south, some of the men seem to be more aggressive, but in DC in particular, I would say they're not as aggressive.
I think I can understand what she's saying as far as men in the DC area being not as aggressive. As you know, I don't have a lot to compare it to. I'm born and raised pretty much in this area, but with the whole in DC, there's this. I don't necessarily know if it's the truth or if it's a myth, but there is a higher ratio of women than there are to men.
Yes.
And in a lot of ways, it has spoiled the men,
Yes.
especially when you throw into the pot. A lot of the women fighting for the men, they seem to have, in a lot of ways, lowered their standards. So a lot of men do feel like I'm the catch. I don't have to put forth a lot of effort.
When you guys are speaking, when you ladies are speaking, are you speaking about African American men, black men, or are we talking about men of all races? Who are you referring to when you say that?
I'm referring specifically to African American men. I have not dated very much outside of my race.
Okay, so with that being said, are we open to dating outside of our race, ladies? Are we open to that type of thing?
I'm married, but would I be open? I think I would be open to dating outside my race, but I wanted to piggyback on what they said earlier. I think one of the strains with being a married woman in the urban area is that there are, especially in this area, I think there's so many women who are trying to get a man that it doesn't really matter if you're married or not. They still feel like, oh, I could possibly compete with his wife, or I have this to offer. So if we were in an area where there wasn't as many black chicks running around, I don't think that, not saying that we got that strain, but it's there in this area.
So there are some challenges in your mind. There are some challenges in being married in an urban setting.
In an urban setting.
There are some challenges. Okay, so what's your experience like with dating in the workplace or dating from the clubs? I know
I've never dated in the workplace. I haven't booked a guy in a club in a while.
For those of us who don't know what book means, can we have an explanation of what
Gave my number, taking his number. So. Well, I've never dated in the workplace, but I met my husband 15 years ago in the club.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I have another question for you ladies. How important is the look of a man? And I ask you that because men seem to want the top-notch, pretty teeth, flawless makeup, no stomach. How important is looks to you as far as your man is concerned? Would you be able to settle, so to speak?
I tried the whole looks don't matter thing. I was not happy, and to the point where we would go out, I would kind of like walk a few feet ahead because it was just like I looked like really good, and what he wore on the date, he was a family, as we say here in this area. So what does that mean? He did not.
But was that physical look or was that style? Because usually a family is more.
It was both.
Style.
It was both.
However, I ran into him a couple of years later, and I guess his friends taught him how to dress. It made him look better.
I don't think looks should be everything, but they're definitely important. You can't just throw looks out.
No.
You can't just, you have to be somewhat attracted to, him in some way, form, or
You
fashion.
may one day be waking up to that.
Right, when you say, it's funny how you think guys like want the, all made up. And it seems like, I think, and this is my personal opinion, but guys really, they like to look at that. But in their woman, they kind of like just natural beauty. They don't want you all made up. I've seen men who I thought were attractive, like wow, and you would think that his girlfriend would be the Barbie type, and then you see his girlfriend, you like, that's your girlfriend? You know what I'm saying? So, you start to think like, it must be really something really special about this woman. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know that I agree.
Maybe I know that when I was younger, there was a certain type that I liked, and now that I'm a little bit older, I want a man that looks like a man. Before I would be like, oh, chest hair, ew, and now I'm like, ooh. It's like, I don't know, it's like I hit a point and I can't even pinpoint where it was, but it's like one day I'm just like, oh, facial hair is sexy, and having a little bit of gray is cute, and at one point, it's like, oh no, he has to have a full head of hair, and he has to have, but I think you get to a certain age and you realize that's not realistic for this age range anymore.
Right, exactly.
You're not going to have a man with an Adonis body once he gets to a certain age. You may, if you're lucky, but 9 times out of 10, he's going to have a little bit of a gut, just like you want to be to have some babies and pick up a couple rolls.
I think it's, for me, it's not the main package, but when you see someone, I want to be attracted to.
Right, because that's the first thing you
that's
see.
the first thing you see.
So you have to get past that.
But now that my husband and I have been able to grow older with each other things that attract me to him, like him being able to provide. When he takes the trash out, that's
like,
attractive.
so
Right. You're supposed to do that kind of stuff in the house. There are things that outside of he's in the family. When he takes his shirt off, I'm still like, oh my goodness, dude. But there are things that he may do around the house that makes me like, oh my God, he looks so good.
What are you willing to do to keep your man interested? Because as we know, in the DC area, there are 10, 20, 30 women to each man. What are you willing to do to keep your man? Do we have to go back to the old school way of doing things? Washing, cleaning, cooking for him?
I will do all of that. However, at the same time, I'm his girlfriend, I'm not his wife. So for me, there are I'm not going to go so far with it, because if I give you too much now, then what am I going to give you then? What incentive would I give is that giving you to make me your wife? If you can get all this within this relationship here, what is the incentive of me becoming your wife?
Let me ask the question to what you're saying, because someone brought this up to me, because I felt that same way. Someone said to me, when we're in a relationship with a man, this is my man, this is my woman, we tend to want all of him. We want him to put his best foot forward. We want him to come and take out the garbage in our houses, although it's not his house too. We want him to be able to do the things that he's supposed to do as a husband. Put them in the husband category to do those things, taking out the trash, to take and pay for all the bills and things of that nature. Why aren't we willing to give him all of us as well?
There's things that you have to do. I'm sorry.
Because the man is the one who chooses the wife. So I might say, oh, this is going to be my husband. But until he proposes to me, that means nothing. It just works.
Now, so let me ask Keisha a question. It's almost like, I'm sorry, it's almost like it's like a two-part question. One, then at what point do you begin doing those things? Because you can't, I refuse to believe that you walk down the aisle, you say I do, and then the day after the honeymoon, all of a sudden, it's, okay, I'm gonna do the laundry and I'm gonna pay the bills and I'm gonna, go grocery shopping for you and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. I think you get to the point where like this is leading towards something.
I don't think it's this one day and then the next day it changes. But I agree with you when you say, as a girlfriend, I'm not giving you white privileges. And so you're gonna see that in a person. If we're dating and I'm at Burger King, Wendy's, Chick-fil-A, any other fast food, I'm not cooking nothing, then that's not going to change. But if I cook, even if it's not for you, even if I'm just like, what are you doing? I'm cooking. You know what I mean? You know those things. She's the clean person because you're dating her. You don't need to
have her clean your house.
Yeah, and the whole thing about wanting him to be 100% and come over to your house and take out the trash. I mean, if you're there, if you don't mind taking out the trash, but you don't have to come over to take out the trash. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but then isn't that like two parts? So, okay, your man is at your house.
Mm-hmm.
And let me answer the question first. My boyfriend and I have been together for about a year. Mm-hmm. I can pretty much say, based on his treatment of me, he gets a lot of, I guess, what would be reserved as wifely privileges. And I don't see it as doing too much. And maybe it's because I'm getting equal in return.
Exactly.
You know, I grocery
For
shop for him.
reciprocity,
You know,
right.
Ebony and I were talking earlier. I'm like a coupon queen. I get things at a discount in a bargain. So when he needs something, I tell him, you tell me what you need from the grocery store, and when I go, I'm getting it for you. Even though his household is completely separate from mine, I still feel like we are working together, and he sees that, okay, this is the type of wife that I would get. She's frugal with her money. She's looking out for me the same way I'm looking out for her, you know, type of thing. It's definitely give and take. I'm not going to give all and you're
Yeah.
getting nothing.
And I think if you're getting that reciprocity, then that's totally fine. But if you are giving you giving the wifey, is that what we're calling it, privileges, and he's just being a boyfriend, a regular boyfriend, no, that's not, it's not gonna work.
I think it has to be progressive. I
Yeah.
would say that, like trust is earned. That's kind of how
Right.
it is in the relationship. And, you definitely, I mean, when you marry someone, you don't want to like, oh, we're married, and then you could turn into something. You're like, you're Beyonce, and then he's, I don't know, some business or smart or something like that. I mean, that's not, you don't want to marry a completely different person.
Thank you all again for being very upfront, up close, and uncut.
Thanks, Maisha.
Thanks, guys.